Okay, so it seems like we are live. I'm not 100% sure because I cannot see it on the YouTube that the stream started. Okay, but hopefully it is. So hello everybody. Last week we have decided to compose two calls together, the Bridge weekly update call and EVM weekly update call. This is very in line with the composition of the development teams and having more and more things that the teams are working together with each other. So, for example, we're going to talk quite a lot about this during this call. So, starting from today, we're going to have a single Aurora update call. It will last for an hour and a half. Every Friday at this time, you will be able to see it. So let's start. I'm going to share my screen. Let's start with the goals and with the agenda. Yeah, let's start with the agenda. So here is our typical agenda. Guys, do you have anything to discuss, specifically to discuss during today's call?
I think we will discover things to add as we go through the updates.
Okay, sure. Cool. So our status, Rainbow Bridge is working okay-ish. We have found out that there is at least one additional problem that needs to be fixed. So some of the transfers from Ethereum to Near. We have updated the client contract, and now the block addition consumes up to 70% less gas on Ethereum, which is super cool because instead of paying something like 60 ETH per month, we are now going to pay around 18 ETH for maintenance of the bridge. We are joining our forces to fast forward Aurora development and delivery. So there is like a very big movement right now to release Aurora as soon as possible. The target date for this is the beginning of May. I will not say what's the actual date that we have in plans, but I can say early May. There are lots of things that needs to be done before this. These things are obviously around the technical side of it, but also things around marketing, PR, some partners that are coming on board, the legal structure of Aurora projects, and so on and so forth. So these are all things that align outside the technical discussions and technical capabilities of the project, but they are also very important, especially at the very beginning of the product operations. So let's go closer to the weekly update. So there are also here the items that were suggested by Max to have planned items, what is done, and the plans for the next week. I'm going to fill in this information by myself, but I'm going to once again review the notes from the call. So let's do the weekly update. I will start with myself. I was heavily involved in Aurora management this week. We were discussing a lot about potential Aurora token, a separate Aurora token, and the legal structure around the company. We were thinking how we can launch this so it will be convenient to maintain and convenient to start this Aurora as a separate business. I was also involved in a number of hiring activities, both that are connected to Aurora and that align outside Aurora. And also a number of marketing activities, including Maker Call, the call with Maker community, and Binance AMA with Kazakhstan community. Yeah, and was just helping people here and there a little bit with the deployment of the new version of the bridge, a little bit with discussions on the EthConnect and stuff like that. So not a lot to mention here. Arto, I see you have a long list of activities.
Yes, it's been a busy week. I put in links as well, so you can always show what we are talking about on the screen as we go through them. So most importantly, I've been working on the relayer for the past week intensively, and that has well, it's basically a rewrite of the relayer for production readiness. So I've comprehensively reviewed all of the needed RPC methods by comparing what different servers do, because of course, as usual, there's the de facto standard, and then there's the spec document, and there's some a little bit difference between them. So I've composed the comprehensive list of, you can maybe show the README there in the relayer repo. Yeah, composed the comprehensive list of RPC operations we need to support. Reviewed each one that we do correct parameter handling, and implemented a lot of them that were missing. There's still a handful that are missing, and they will need a little bit more work next week. In addition, I made the relayer ready for production by adding comprehensive logging of requests and responses, so we can troubleshoot issues. The logging is keyed by a request ID, a unique identifier for each request, which means that we can track down problems when people report them. We also have rate limiting to prevent abuse, and for persistent abusers, we have IP blacklists. And in order to make this easy to manage, we have configuration files, and I've improved the local key management. Now, the important revelation from recent work on the relayer is that we had originally conceived of the relayer as stateless, but it will in fact need to maintain state. And that is not yet begun. That is the big missing piece for a fully production-ready relayer, and that I will tackle next week. So I also stood up the betanet and testnet relayers at long last, given that feeling better about the readiness of the relayer software to handle them. And the endpoints will be published in the documentation shortly. The documentation I took a stab at as well. There's a doc site which is mostly lorem ipsum at this point, but you can maybe show the different top sections: learn, develop. This is where we will be moving the documentation for Aurora specifically, as in the bridge and EVM both. And that's using the MKDocs content management system, which I'm sure some are familiar with. And you can, anybody working on the bridge as well, you can just add documentation in the GitHub repo. And I also began working on a hard hat plugin for Aurora, which I think will be finished next week. So yeah, busy week.
Okay, that's cool. What is the reason for the relayer to have a state?
There's multiple reasons. One is that filters, user-defined filters, need to be persisted between requests. But the more important reason is that in order for us to retrieve transaction data for past ETH transactions, that is necessary to index. We can't find it ad hoc when we need it. We have to actually keep track of that. So it means that in addition to the relayer itself, there will be an indexer process for which I'm tapping the existing near indexer framework. So we will need to index the Ethereum compatible transactions as they come in, and then we can look them up easily.
Mm-hmm. And how is this, I don't know, intersected with the ordinary indexers that are there for Ethereum ecosystem? Aren't we duplicating? Okay.
No, it has nothing to do with either existing Ethereum indexers nor existing near indexers. Mm-hmm. So this is quite specific for Aurora.
Okay, cool.
I suggest let's add these kind of items to the discussion segment and do updates first.
Yeah, sure. Evgeny Kapun, how are you?
I was working mostly on reviewing pull requests, but also finally we integrated this optimization that we already said. I was also reviewing why our near to E3 layer is not working as well as we want. So there are some problems. Some of the times it stops working properly, and currently if this happens, we need to manually restart it. So I reviewed logs, and probably at some point we're going to change it so that it doesn't need to be restarted as often.
Okay. Evgeny Yohanov.
This week, I started implementation new logic related to F connector, and we discussed a lot of things with Alex Shevchenko and Kirill. For that time, it was implemented about 95%. So next week, I think we should start some bug fixing if we will find, and we will start testing.
Okay, cool. Frank. Frank, are you here? You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I added continuous integration to the EVM bully on GitHub, fixed all the linter errors, so the code base is pretty clean now. I debugged some error with the Aurora script, so I can properly initialize the contract state on testnet, because we have these ownership checks in the engine for the bully specific methods. Then I encoded the genesis state on the bully side and decoded it on the engine side. And then I implemented it in the begin block so we can set the initial balances. Because right before the first transaction failed with the token transfer because we didn't have the money. We want to transfer, now that works. And we now can replay basically Gurley up to block 12,842. And there it fails with an exceeded the prepaid gas error, which I will tackle next. And also next would be improving the performance with batching.
Okay, so that's cool. One of the things for discussions here, I think that I'm going to put it in the list, is the performance metrics. So yeah, when I have bully, we can potentially get something out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Joshua, what's on your side?
Yeah, sure. I'll just read it off the screen, your screen. Yeah, so I fixed a serialization bug with the BN128 library, which I noticed quite a bit of libraries kind of omitted. And then I added lots of new public API to the BN128 library, and then I completed it. Then finished all the precompiles for the Aurora engine, wrote all spec tests, and I guess I rewrote that twice. Yeah, then I wrote all spec tests for the precompiles. And then after that, I just added a transfer method to the Aurora engine, which was to unblock Frank with the EVM bully. Then I wrote the code for the faucet because I saw it sitting there in the to-do list, and I thought it was easy enough to tackle. I called it the make it rain method. We could change that if you guys want, but I thought it's funny. And then lastly, I started work on the engine implementation. And today I worked on the EVM math API because that hasn't been touched in the last couple of weeks, and it'd be nice to get that moving along again. And then finally, today I moved the Blake 2 lib into near core crypto library. I still got to push that in. But yeah, it's been a big week this week.
Yeah, cool. As far as I understand, for example, the precompilers are now in the pull request. Is this correct?
Yeah, they're all good to go and they're all
Okay.
tested.
Yeah, it will be cool, guys, if you would be able to put the links to the pull requests like Arto did. So people, if they would like to get some additional info, they will be able to take a look at some particular things.
Sure.
Okay, Kirill, what's on your side?
Yeah, so this week several times synced with Evgeny and Alex on the new connectors design. Also, we spent some time with Marcella on design discussions, so VRC20 connector. I did some F connector minor improvements after the feedback of testing by Marcella. And most time of this week I spent on the implementation of ETH to near event relayer, which relays both ERC20 locker and ETH custodian Ethereum events to the near blockchain, to the factory and Aurora as well.
Okay, cool. Marcelo?
Yeah, well, I was reviewing several PRs. In particular, I was reviewing implementation of eNear connector, transferring near to Ethereum and leaving some feedback there. Also, main task of this week was building the RC20 connector. I was working on this in collaboration with Kirill, who was building the relayer. Then I also was testing the ETH connector by Kirill to provide also some feedback. In the beginning of the week, we finally deployed the optimized version of the Near and ETH client that Evgeny implemented last week. It have improved considerably the amount of ETH we are spending now. Like we're spending much less now. Well, right now, yesterday we found, like last week we found an issue building some proofs on Robstein, and yesterday we found the same issue on mainnet. And I'm working on this. It's like the issue is only about building the proof, not about checking them. So only change will be on our on the relayers itself. And well, as a side task, I was reorganizing our repositories, moving them to Aurora's near organization, removing stale branches, and setting up a few more configurations to remove branches automatically. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Matt, what's on your side?
So almost all the work this week was related to the Aurora launch. Most of the time was designing and developing the Aurora bridge, creating draft content for the site, some meetings related to legal and admin issues around the launch, and then a small amount of Rainbow Bridge testing.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Michael, good morning.
Yes. So I spent most of the week doing some EVM contract benchmarking work. It's maybe a misnomer to say that it's about EVM benchmarking. It's really more about benchmarking the underlying near runtime that the contract runs in. But there's a pull request there. And then I did do some review of the ETH connector logic, but it was before the new changes were put in, so I haven't looked at the new stuff yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Pierre, you've got a busy week too. Are you with us actually? Yeah,
I'm
you're
here.
with us.
So this week I did some in-year client development. So now I'm waiting to have a testnet deployment to start the integration with the front end. So I mostly went through it, so it should go pretty fast. But yeah, if we can have this this first draft on testnet, that would be great to get things moving. Apart from that, I did some work on the claiming functionality from the faucet, so adding some new designed modals and various front-end fixes and features added to the front end in the long list of issues that we had. For example, the max buttons and all of these small things that need to get done. And finally, spend some time in the Telegram channel.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. Big thanks for Marcelo and you, Pierre, for being active in supporting the current Rainbow Bridge users. And that's cool. Okay, does everyone have a chance to talk? I see that there is Yulian on the call. Hi, Yulian. Obviously, we're not requesting an update for you. Just wanted to say hello to you.
Hello.
Cool. So let's go straight into the discussion.
I added an initial discussion item. I had the same question probably as you, Alex, about maybe we could get some initial performance figures from the first runs of the bully. I'm sure we can improve things, but would be interesting to know.
And how is this connected from my side, and also how this is connected to the Michael's work?
Yeah, that might be a separate question, but yes. And then it would be a nice thing for validation if one were somehow able to compare the final block state at just before the block we fail at with the state of Gurley at that point, to see whether we have any discrepancies. I mean, one sure would hope we don't have any discrepancies. But I imagine that could be a bit of a side project by itself. What do you think, Frank?
Yeah, I think it's not worth putting in the effort there right now, because if the transactions succeed, we can, kind of indirectly see that the state at least is correct up to that point.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That it's probably just good for you to keep unblocking the blocks that fail and keep moving forward.
Yeah,
and maybe at some point we can pull somebody to do the state comparison.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, and in terms of the performance measures, right now we don't really have them because there's no batching yet. I need to do the batching first.
Well, even without batching, it's an interesting thing to know how much it might clock in at. But of course, it's not a particularly useful measure. It's just getting some baseline understanding.
Well, right now, I mean, you have this one about 1 second per transaction because
okay.
It always waits for the confirmation. So
yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
okay.
We actually need to get not only the performance, which will say us what is the amount of time or what's the amount of transactions that we are able to fit in, but also some numbers from the some constants. So, for example, what we can calculate, and this will be pretty important. Things like, for example, how much. Oh my gosh, yeah. So how much Ethereum gas we can fit into 300 teragas, near teragas. So this is one thing. Another thing what we can calculate is how much gas or near gas does it take for simple Ethereum transactions, like base token transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
Or ERC to ONI transfer.
Yeah, we need these figures for multiple reasons. Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
that question is answered in, or can be answered anyways. I haven't done ERC20, but base token I did do in my PR there.
Do we have this number already, or?
I did get it yesterday, or did I? I might. The final results are still a work in progress. There's a couple of things I want to double check, but I can 100% get it next week, and for internal purposes, I'll probably have it on Monday.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we need it for at least a few different things. Ilya wants it badly, of course, and we need it for planning. Alex and I, and Matt will need it for marketing purposes, as in for the content for the website.
Absolutely, and this is also important for our partners. So, for example, if they have a very computation intense smart contracts, then potentially 300 teragas for their users is not enough to schedule a transaction to this contract. So
I added one more item here, which is that we have in NIRCore, we have a standard precompiles test case in Solidity, which exercises all of the Istanbul precompiles, and it would be worthwhile to collect the amount of gas, measure the amount of gas used by that, and then see how that changes as we deploy the protocol upgrades. So right now, as a reminder for everybody, all of the precompiles are implemented directly on the user level, as in the contract itself, and that will be slow given that they are, well, it will be expensive in terms of gas, given that we're talking about elliptic curve math and so on. But the PR is open in NIRCore for pushing down this to the host functions, and that's what Joshua mentioned, that he needs to push that to finalization so we can eventually get that deployed on testnet and then mainnet.
Is the code ready for those host functions? I remember there were some stuff not finished, so need to be probably finished before it can be actually merged.
Yeah, Joshua, did you have something to finish still on that, or what?
Yeah. It was mostly just to Blake to. I added a few more arguments to it as was suggested by Captain, I started working on that today, and I want to get that done over the weekend. But I think that was only the real suggestion that all that needed to be done to wrap all that up, and of course, like the gas, I got to run the gas costs again.
Yeah, well, I would suggest, Joshua, that post an update to the ticket on what you still plan to do, and then float that with everybody who needs to sign off on it, including Yevgeny.
Probably we'll also need to add tests, so probably Ethereum implementations have test suites for precompiles, and we want to add those tests to test our host functions on the same values to make sure that they're compatible with Ethereum.
Yeah, for sure. And also, of course, the standard precompiles test case is a good start to put that into the NIRCore unit test in terms of Rust to exercise the host functions.
Do you have any additional metrics in your mind that we can add here, the simple ones?
Well, the precompile cost is important. For the transfers, we would also want to measure the NFT operations potentially, but I'm not sure that's of interest to that many partners. Lower priority.
Yeah, I think we can skip this. But in general, it's just like, what is the cost of one single operation, and how much? What is the size of the transaction that we are able to fit? What is the amount of? What is our? This is literally transforms into how much transactions we can handle, literally. and it also transforms into the cost for all of these transactions. So everything above it can be transformed in the US dollars.
Exactly. How much does a typical transaction cost concretely? That's what everybody cares about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll
I can
have
add the ERC20 and the standard P compiles to my PR there and get those gas measurements.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning. I also discussed this with Michael that basically what he's doing and what we're trying to do with Bully are like different levels. So Bully is more macro level where we try to check correctness and maybe over performance transaction throughput with what we have in the testnet. But then things like what Michael is working on it makes more sense to have it as isolated test cases more on the micro level.
Yeah, that said, Frank, we do want ultimately to know the, let's say that you do a girly run. We want to see what is the total gas consumed for that run, and then bring that, optimize that over time. Yeah. But of course, it's far more important that you are able to finish a run than to count the cost of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. What are the additional topics for us to discuss?
I had a question, given that we have some people on the call who might know. There's a couple of RPC methods that are difficult to implement into Relayer because we don't have, as far as I can tell, in the near API, whether we're talking about the JSON RPC API or we're talking about the library that wraps it, we don't have the ability to look up a transaction just by its hash. We also have to know the account ID that sent the transaction. And I was wondering how we would want to work around that.
I think I know that the problem of the fact that we need to provide the account ID here is that contracts potentially can be located in different shards.
Right.
So that's why you need to provide what is the account ID in order to execute this. And potentially you can just use for the account ID Aurora itself, and that's it.
No, but go ahead.
So this is kind of like a similar thing with the getting a mock block hash in a sense, right?
Well, it's not like at the moment until we are on a single shard operating. Then this what we are putting in any view methods, it doesn't matter what is there in the account ID. But at the moment when we're on multiple shards, this matters because during the call, the RPC what it tries to do is it tries to direct you to the shard where your account ID, where your account is located, and then from that shard you're asking this. You're doing the call. I'm not sure what's the reason for having the separation in between the user and the need to put let me get a step back. So any transaction to near, you are able to schedule as a transaction or as a view call. And the difference between them is that are you either scheduling a transaction and this transaction is put into the blockchain and executed on all of the shard nodes, or it's just one single node that returns you the result of the execution of this transaction, and this is what you expect to get after the execution of the transaction. So you literally can schedule a view call for FT transfer for NAP 141. No problem. You will see what is the outcome of this. And within the execution runtime, there is an ability to get the predecessor ID. so the caller of this transaction. And when you're doing a view call, there is no, and when you're doing an ordinary call of the transaction, you're getting the predecessor ID from the signature. And when you're doing a view call, it doesn't understand, the code doesn't understand where to get the account from which it was called. So that's why you need to specify the account ID there. This is the logic behind it. Yeah, and the execution that it happens, it is absolutely the same. It's just not, so the view calls just not going through the consensus mechanism, and that's it. So yeah, this is how it works, and this is the reasoning for having this a user account or account ID there.
I think there's a difference between view calls and near in Ethereum. So in Ethereum, view calls actually can do pretty much anything, but in near, many operations are restricted for view calls. So view calls can't write to storage and make cross-contract calls in near, but they can do all of that in Ethereum, although of course state changes don't persist in the blockchain.
Yeah, so there's probably a good way to work around this, which is, again, as I said, we need the indexing in any case. And the indexing will then discover these transactions and we'll be able to look them up by without any need to reference the account ID, and that will work around this. But yeah, so I have a few more things to implement like that. For partners, we also have a request for some non-standard RPC methods. I need to evaluate those whether we will support them or not.
Okay. Wanted to say a couple of words about the bridge speedup, because this is something that influences the chain team. So I created a separate discussion from my talk with Evgeny. So Evgeny proposed the way how we potentially can speed up the bridge token transfers. So not arbitrary transfers, but token transfers. And the thing that is important is the from near to Ethereum direction. So this specific direction that now takes up to 16 hours to do. I'm going to put a link to discussion here, but you can check it in the bridge repo at the moment. And the idea of the speedup is the following: there is a third party that provides an ability to do the fast finalization of the transfer, and the way how it does it is that it submits the specific additional so Locker contract on the Ethereum, it implements an additional method for fast transfer, and this third party submits a transaction. Within the execution of this transaction, Locker transfers from this third party the amount that needs to be paid out and transfers to the recipient of the transfer. And then Token Locker is just, and then Token Locker records the information that this fast finalization of withdrawal was done by third party. And at the moment when the networks are synced, then the party who is going to receive the transfer, it would be not the actual receiver, but this third party that did the fast withdrawal. So the idea is pretty good. It works only with token transfers.
I think I can formulate it a bit better. So the idea is that some relayer deposit their own tokens, and when they see the transfer on near side, they can pay immediately those tokens to the receiver on Ethereum side without waiting for this transfer to actually go through. So they are paying their own tokens, but the fact that this happened is recorded in the token locker. So when the transfer actually goes through, it's not the receiver who received this token, but that relayer. So they receive those tokens back once the the block is relayed, so once the bridge can actually verify that the transfer took place.
Yeah. So now, why I'm asking this on the public call? Yeah. The reason is that this influences the importance of implementation of a realistic bridge. And in implementing the realistic bridge, we are very connected with the chain team because they need to do lots of the stuff on their side here. So here is the question to you: what do you think? Does this approach for speeding the bridge up is okay for now, and we can decrease the priority for chain team to implement SAP-keys support in near runtime? Or we still need to keep the priority for SAP-keys implementation or addition. And
another thing is that this change can theoretically make relaying tokens cheaper, because, well, currently it's expensive to verify actual withdrawals, but it can be optimized independent on whether the bridge is realistic or not. And this way we can have fast withdrawals without having to relay blocks frequently. And we, even with realistic bridge, and especially with realistic bridge, relaying blocks will cost something, because it will need to verify all the signatures each time a block is relayed. So if we use this approach, even with the realistic bridge, we can have fast withdrawals without having to relay blocks.
Okay. So yeah, I do understand that these are the different things. And what's your take on this? Do you think that we need to decrease the priority?
It can make sense to have it even with the realistic bridge. So, and also chain team is pretty busy, so if we can implement this faster, then we can have realistic bridge. I think significantly faster, because,
well, sure, we do not need to do. We are not going to do the protocol changes here. That we are not controlling. Any additional thoughts?
I agree that this solution sounds pretty interesting and can be quite useful, at least as a temporary one. But I think that anyway, the realistic bridge is the more robust solution. But as Evgeny mentioned, this approach have some benefits for the realistic bridge as well. So I think that it's good to have it now, especially that the realistic bridge and the bridge v2 are like in some future, and we don't have really any estimates on that side.
Okay, so let's do the following. Please consider taking a look in this discussion and expressing your opinion there. From my point of view, also we should probably decrease the priority and leave a chain team focusing on more urgent things that needs to be fixed. So let me put it probably yes. Okay, Arta, thanks for reminding about the OKRs. Do you guys want me to go over this?
We need to. We had promised to share the OKRs with the community, and we didn't do it yet.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is one additional thing that we need to inform all of you about. So in NEAR in general, as you know, we are following the OKR process, and this process is intended to unite the team and give simple answers to the questions what are our goals, what are we doing, what are we focusing on, what is our lighthouse in front of us to which we are going. So for the second quarter of 2021, Aurora team, and so Bridge and EVM teams has joined OKRs, and now we call it Aurora OKRs. And here are the objectives. We have 4 major objectives, which are the following. Aurora has the best user experience in the industry. Aurora is discovered by Ethereum community. Aurora on mainnet is launched and maintainable. Aurora unblocks partners blocked on Ethereum compatibility. As you can see, all of the objectives are very ambitious, I would say, and they are all about the launch of Aurora and delivering quite a high quality product. So let's go one by one with objectives, and we will be able to see what are the key results that support in these objectives. The key results giving us some kind of additional in-depth understanding of what we think should support us coming closer to this objective. For the Aurora has the best UX in the industry. We have 3 key results. We have an exhaustive list of cases when users can lose the transfer, and we have mitigation for all of them. This is a key result that is committed, as you can see. So this is about the transfers over the bridge, obviously. We measure our responsiveness to users, and 80% of the user requests are acknowledged within 1 hour. This is about the support. So we would like our users to feel that we are supporting them and they are able to get answers quickly, or at least to raise some concerns very quickly. And we are saying the transfer time from near to Ethereum is less than 12 hours. We are literally saying that we would like to reduce by 25% the transfer time from near to Ethereum. This can be done by many means. Let's see. And this is the last 2 key results are aspirational here. Aurora is discovered by Ethereum community. So we have multiple key results. Aurora is a distinct brand, and this is a committed key result. We are moving in this direction. We would like Aurora to be a separate company, as we said to you. So yeah, this is something that is necessary. Advantages of bridge design are understood by 90% of the users that we come in contact with. This is about us communicating and educating our users. The excellence of the Aurora user experience is amply demonstrated. We would like Aurora Bridge to be the best bridge in the industry, and Aurora itself, Aurora engine, to be also very, very similar to the Ethereum 1.0. So we would like to have this result. 80% of Ethereum developers that will get in contact through DevRel try Aurora Bridge. Okay, again, committed OKR. So we would like to provide enough information for the Ethereum developers for them to be able to try Aurora Bridge. Aurora is transparent to the community with respect to design, usage, and decision making. This is also pretty important. However, this is an aspirational goal for us for this quarter. Aurora on mainnet is launched and maintainable. Again, 5 key results supporting this very important goal, very important objective. Development and release process of Aurora are defined and implemented. So we wanted to, stabilize the stuff. It's not only about this is about the maintainability of Aurora project. Aurora monitoring, alerting, and data collection is set up and is effective. Again, about maintainability. Aurora documentation is maintained and updated together with the code. Pretty clear. Aurora cannot be broken by any single entity within governance and credibility model, which means that we do not we would like to, though it is aspirational for now, but this is our intention in the end, to share the ability to work with Aurora, to not to work, but to govern the Aurora, not with the single keys or single entity controlling it, potentially with multi-sig wallet, but the wallet that is managed by a single entity, but rather share the governance mechanisms with other people. And all the ad hoc knowledge is written down and structured. This is also pretty important, that we are able to find all of the artifacts from the past, because the bridge is already in the development for more than a year. Aurora, or previously EVM, is also in the development for half of a year, even more than that. Yeah, actually even almost a year or two. So we need to structure everything. We need to not to lose anything that we have encountered in the past. And the last thing, but also pretty important, is that we are unblocking our partners on Ethereum compatibility. There are lots of companies that are seeking a place where they can launch their Ethereum contracts. And we have many partners that are deliberately asking us for delivering this functionality. So what we would like to do is to unblock them and make them able to launch their businesses, their dApps on Near. So as you can see, we have here 3 key results: define a list of dApps and ensure they are deployable on the mainnet. Pretty straightforward. Ethereum end users are using dApps by key partners. So this is the actual the goal of the whole unblocking thing, yeah, because this is the thing that demonstrates the fact that that our partners are unblocked. And the last one, which is aspirational, these 2 are committed. The last one is aspirational. Define a list of dependencies required by 80% of key partners and ensure that they get deployed to mainnet. We have been talking about this for some time, and however, we are moving this a little bit. So the priority of this task is obviously not that high. Most probably, we will try to find an external partner to help us with this OKR. So these are our OKRs. We have been discussing them for a pretty long period of time. I'm going to create a separate link that will be available for everyone to take a look at these OKRs. Yeah, and hopefully we will be able to deliver quite good results with these OKRs. Any questions, objections, or about the OKRs? What is not clear for us? Okay, cool.
I added one additional item here, social media, as we begin to differentiate into Project Aurora. These are the links we have currently.
Yeah, and so we have a GitHub, we have Twitter, we have I created 2 channels in Telegram. One is for like the main group, another is for the development. Maybe you need to create one for support questions, actually. Yeah, and we also have a metrics group too. Okay. Anything else to discuss?
Looks like we might be able to keep it to an hour.
Well, potentially yes, but we also need to discuss what we are planning to do on next week. So we can start with Frank, actually, because Frank is going to leave us pretty soon. Frank, what are your plans for the next week? Are you still with us? Okay, probably not. Then I'm going to start with myself. So let's do the same order that we have had previously. So my plan for the next week is to work a lot on hiring. So I agreed with Ilya on additional positions that Aurora is going to open. And here's a little bit of info to everybody. Sorry for not sharing this. It was out of my hand. So these positions include QA engineer, a tech writer, a DevOps, specific DevOps for us. So we are going to grow the amount of engineers that are working for us. And most probably we are going to hire some additional people that will take care of our social medias and business development will help us with this. So yeah, so I need to, obviously for all of this hiring, need to work with our updated hiring department or like HR department, and I'm going to focus on legal structure and supportive docs. Okay, Frank, you are with us.
Yeah, sorry, just had to step out for 1 second.
Sure, no problem.
I'll focus on the two things I already mentioned above, namely the error I encountered. So basically, fixing the errors, making sure we can replay more blocks, and as soon as it becomes a problem, then start working on the batching of transactions to improve the performance.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, Arta.
Yeah, so most importantly, I will continue working on the relayer since everybody who wants to use the EVM will be going through that soon enough. That includes a number of items that includes making a test suite for the relayer. Means adding WebSocket support. Currently, we only support HTTP. We need some metrics and monitoring in place, and probably a little bit more work on the security aspects, such as adding a reverse proxy in front of it. And then of course the indexer that I mentioned. To be able to actually implement every single RPC method, we need this indexing, and I plan to finish that next week. After that, or parallel to that, documentation is my main priority. And there's other wish list items like the hard hat plugin, if I have time to get to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Evgeny Kapon.
I possibly will help Marcelo with the current issues with the proof generation, and also I will be looking more into issues with near to ETH relayer and just other current tasks like reviewing pull requests and such.
Yeah, I think Evgeny, we can mark the near to ETH relayer review as lower priority.
It's not review; it's their issues. From time to time it stops working properly.
Yeah, I know.
We have alerts because of that, and I think there are some pretty small fixes that can reduce at least the frequency of those issues.
Yeah, I think though the review of the EVM code or the Aurora engine code is much more important right now. So obviously, this is there. We are living with this for more than a month right now. Yeah, sometimes we need to restart it. It is annoying a little bit, but it's not that critical. Though Aurora code is much more critical. So I propose you to take a look at anything that artists thinks.
I will take a look into our Aurora. I mean, the actual smart contract, which is the EVM implementation.
Right. There's two branches, Evgeny. There's the master branch is currently without the ETH connector, and the ETH connector is on its own separate branch. And of course, the ETH connector is well, it's a big piece of work, and that especially needs some review.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is. Yeah, Evgeny, thanks. I've seen that you have submitted your review to the in-year. Yeah, this is going to be something similar. Okay. Then we have Evgeny Ukhanov.
So next week we should finalize logic for a new S connector improvements, and I think we should start integration tests with Kirill. And also I will connect with Marcella about precompile methods.
Yeah, actually, maybe we need to discuss this. So I believe Marcelo and Evgeny need to have some inputs on the precompiles, how to implement this. So maybe this can be a separate call, but obviously Marcelo and Evgeny, for you, people to go are Arto and Joshua, because they were implementing the precompiles. Okay, cool. So whom do we have next? And okay, Joshua, Kirill, Joshua.
Yeah, so it's just the same stuff that I was basically saying before, which was the engine implementation, which is the engine of Sputnik, and then also completing the EVM math API. I want to get that done as soon as possible. And then I want to support Frank next week with every little issue that he has that I can quickly address it for him.
Okay, cool. Kirill?
Yeah, so on the next week, I plan to work with Evgeny Ukhanov to add some tests with the Aurora S connector. And I also will assist Marcella in the ERC20 connector implementation efforts. And also we will discuss, I believe on Monday, whether we need, as we previously mentioned, some additional indexing for the event layer. And if we need those, then I will implement that as well.
Okay. Who is next? Marcel, Matt.
Yeah. Okay.
Matt. Yeah.
So, so next week we're going to move the prototype repository to Aurora. Hand over the prototype of the Aurora bridge to Pierre for integration with the protocol. Designing the content sections of the website, and then the target is to have the entire website ready for internal review on Friday, so that we can make launch week as low stress as possible.
Okay, Marcelo.
Yeah, I'll be working mainly on the RC20 connector to the EVM. That's the main priority. And if we finish that early, then probably we can discuss about the fast withdrawal, fast finalization from near to it, and maybe we can start on that. Of course, I'm working today on the issue with building proofs. That's higher priority. If we cannot finish today, then we'll continue next week.
I think like it will be too ambitious to start discussions about fast withdrawal. I think we need to wait till Aurora is launched.
Okay, better.
Yeah. So what we can do is try to do some docs for the bridge. Actually, I'm going to add here bridge docs for myself. So I also would like to work on this to provide some good content to people, and encourage also Marcelo, you and Kirill, everybody from the from the bridge team.
Hit me up about how to add docs to the website, the documentation website. I'll walk you through it.
Okay. Isn't there a repo? Just a repo?
Yeah, sure. If you're familiar with that process, then by all means, just you can push there and we build from there.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Do we have anybody else? We have Pierre and we have Michael. Michael, what's your plan for the next week?
I'll keep working on the benchmarking. I don't expect that to take an entire extra week, so I'll also chat with Arto about what other high priority items I should work on.
Okay, and Pierre?
Yeah, I think the main thing will be to start work on the Aurora front end with Matt and catch up on what's been done on the ETH connector.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Pretty solid plan. Seems like everything is covered here. Obviously, we were not covering ENIR anywhere here. It will also probably require some work from us, but hopefully not a lot. What do you have to add to everything that we have discussed today? It's like pretty long update, so like super long. Okay, go in once, go in twice, go in third time. Let me check whether there is anything happening on the YouTube.
There's one comment.
Okay.
It says hello.
Okay, it's just hello Ranger. Okay, hello Ranger. Thanks for watching us. Hopefully you're still with us. And I'm not sure, since 3 people watching now. It may be me and then somebody else from this team.
Well, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I believe very useful update. I personally really enjoyed it. So let's continue and be on a full speed to Aurora release. Wish everyone good evening, a good day, and productive weekend.
Yes, have a productive weekend, everybody.
Okay, see you guys. Goodbye.
See you guys.
See you. Bye-bye.